It's time to do an updated top 10 cheap and affordable RC cars in 2025. I did one of these videos earlier on in the year, but of course there has been some updates and some new releases, and I think I've now put together 10 solid choices which you really can't go wrong with, and they're going to tick pretty much every box, especially if you're just starting out in the hobby or you're just looking for a really cool and affordable RC car. I say the same thing on all of my top 5 and top 10 lists. These choices that you're going to see in today's video are all based on personal opinion. You may disagree with some of the choices that I'm going to be putting in this top 10, and if you do, drop a comment down below and let me know what you would replace on this list. So let's make a start then. At number 10 I've put the Arrma Gorgon. Now this is going to be the only big name brand car on this list, and quite simply it's because you can get way more for your money with some of the more affordable and budget options out there compared to the big brands. They're really starting to make less sense when it comes to value for money, but I've already covered that loads of times on my channel. I'm not going into that in today's video. We're just here to take a look at my top 10. So the Arrma Gorgon is a fantastic RC car, especially if you're just getting into the RC hobby. Parts are really easy to get because of course it's an Arrma. It drives really well considering it's only two-wheel drive, but two-wheel drive cars are known for being really fun, and trust me, when you get this thing out in the dirt, it is incredibly fun. Now it's at number 10 because I just think there's better cars which are slightly more fun, closer to the top of this list. But that said, it's still a very solid option and I had to include it. Moving on, let's take a look at number 9, and it's from the guys at Rlaarlo. It's the Rlaarlo ROG1. This little truck has turned out to be a very popular choice for a lot of people because it offers really good performance in a much smaller package. Now some people like small RC cars because they're easier to transport, and I kind of get that. I understand that not everyone has large spaces to run, which is why a small little truck like this would come in handy. Now of course, being a Rlaarlo, quality is top notch. These trucks are really quick out the box on 3S, and of course spares and upgrades are also available. I've put the ROG1 at number 9 because even though it has the performance, it does struggle a little bit in slightly harsher terrain compared to some of the larger trucks on this list. Moving on to number 8, and there's two trucks that I'm going to place at the number 8 position. The KF Plan KF17 and the Hyper GO short course truck. Both of these trucks are very similar, which is why they're both at the number 8 position. The KF Plan does have better electronics though. It does have a hobby wing system compared to the MJX using their own branded electronics, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with those, but I do prefer a well-known brand when it comes to electronics. One of the biggest differences between these two trucks is the Hyper GO is 1/14 scale and the KF Plan is 1/12 scale, so of course it is a little bit larger. That makes it slightly more capable off-road, but that said, they're both equally as good. So if you're looking for an affordable short course truck, I really don't think you can go wrong with either of these two. Moving on to number 7, and here we have the MJX 12212. Now 1/12 scale vehicles seem to be gaining in popularity lately because they are the ideal truck when you're looking for portability. Now this truck being slightly larger than some of the other cars out there from MJX, it does make it a little bit more capable, especially when you take it out off-road. The one thing I wasn't really a massive fan of was the way the body was mounted, and sometimes it was a little bit difficult to get it on and off, but this is still a very solid entry from the guys at MJX, and it kind of bridges that gap between small scale and going for something a little bit larger like a 1/10 scale truck, which is why I think it's a fantastic choice if you're looking for something that's portable, looks cool and performs well. Moving on to number 6, and of course no top 10 list would be complete without the Hyboxin 16889. This thing is an absolute legend in the budget RC world, and even though it's been around for a very long time, it's still one of the best beginner options out there. It's probably one of the most durable trucks on this list. If you go for the Pro brushless version, it will have all the upgrades pre-fitted and of course that brushless system. Now there's videos that exist online where people have taken these things to skate parks and absolutely gone crazy, and they've held up. HBX use very flexible plastic on their RC cars, which makes them incredibly durable. Out of all the cars featured on today's top 10, I would say this has to be one of the best options for anyone getting into the hobby. Now even though this truck is a fantastic option, it is slowly working its way down on the top 10 list because there are some newer options which are even better these days. Moving on to number 5, and here we have the Rlaarlo XTS F10. This is a 1/10 scale rally car from the guys at Rlaarlo. You may have seen a new rally car hit the market recently, and that thing is insanely overpriced for what it is. Now this Rlaarlo actually offers excellent value for the money. There's two different versions. There's the metal version or the carbon version. There's also a rolling chassis version as well if you want to put in your own electronics. Now I would say this is definitely one of the best value ready to run rally cars that you can currently buy, and even the carbon one offers so much more for the money compared to some of the bigger brands out there. I mean, even some of the bigger branded options out there now are so insanely overpriced for what they are. This Rlaarlo will pretty much tick every box. I know the body design may not be the best, and again, a licensed body would have been nicer, but look, it is what it is. We're getting excellent value for the money, we're getting great performance, and we're getting it at half the cost of some of the larger brands out there. I'm giving one of you guys the chance to win a brand new Rlaarlo XTS F10. If you're interested, all you need to do is head over to Raffle after watching this video. If you use the code 5free, you'll also be able to get 5 free tickets. You only need to purchase one. This is the first of 2 RC cars that you can currently win over on Raffle. Stay tuned, because I'm also going to tell you about another really cool car that you can win later on in the video. So we're getting close to the top. At number 4, here we have the MJX Hyper GO Mini Rally cars. Now there's a few different body shell options now, but essentially they're all based on the same chassis. These cars are incredibly fun on-road and off-road, and I've proved so many times that even off-road they're still pretty capable. Of course they're not going to be as capable as something like the Rlaarlo XTS F10 that I previously mentioned, but considering their 1/14 scale they still do a pretty good job off-road. Of course my favourite one is the VW Polo, because I'm a massive VW fan. But it doesn't matter which one you go for, because they all look equally as good. Now you may have large scale RC cars, you may be into your high powered stuff, it really doesn't matter, because you should own at least one of these little cars because they're so much fun, and on 3S they're incredibly quick. At no point do these cars ever feel like a handful to drive around, even though they're small, and that's because these cars do come with a gyro, which of course is adjustable, but I've never found the need to adjust anything out the box. They just seem to work. These cars just offer so much value for the money, so much performance, and I just think they're one of the best mini rally cars around. Moving on to my top 3 choices then. At number 3 we have the UDIRC 1610 Pro and S. Both versions of this truck are absolutely crazy. These things will do standing backflips. They'll also run 3S, and trying to go full throttle at 3S is actually really difficult. You need to remember that these little 1/16 scale trucks are only tiny, and when they're overpowered to this level, it can make them a bit of a handful. So you may be thinking, why would you recommend something that's overpowered and just too crazy? Now hear me out, because yes, whilst I do agree that these crazy little cars may not be ideal for everyone, especially a beginner getting into the hobby, remember you can turn the throttle down. You could run 25% throttle for example, and gradually turn it up. You can adjust it from the transmitter, so even though they're insanely powerful, you don't have to run them at 100% throttle at all times. As you slowly start to get used to the trucks, of course, you can start turning the power up a little bit and then have all kinds of fun. You're going to be doing backflips, you're going to be launching these things off of skate park ramps if that's what you're into, and I'm almost certain they're going to survive, because quality wise they're definitely up there with some of the best. I would say comparable to Rlaarlo. Going back to the HBX 16889, remember when I said that's slowly starting to drop places on my top 10 lists every year? That's because we're getting really cool new entries, and these UDIRC trucks are exactly what I'm talking about. They're definitely better built than the high boxing, of course they're better performing, and I also think they look better as well, which is why they're at number 3. So we're getting close to the top now. Let's take a look at number 2, and here we have the MJX 14208 and 14207. Here we have 2 brand new entries from MJX. So MJX have taken the very popular 14210 platform and made it even better, with lots of different upgrades in the right places, such as even more metal components. These new trucks now have plastic chassis, although they do feature some metal reinforcement. The receiver box is now located in a much better place. They're now using proper hex hardware, and they've even made the brushless system slightly less powerful. And although you may think that's a step backwards, actually it's a step forwards, because The previous system was just a little bit too powerful, which did make it a little bit of a handful to drive around at times. The new system is more than enough. It's much more solid compared to the old version, it's nicer to look at with updated bodies. Two very solid options for anyone who's looking to get into the hobby or someone who's looking for a mini RC car to run around when they don't want to be running their large stuff. MJX have been pumping out the RC cars this year, and these two pretty much tick every box. The only thing holding them back slightly when it comes to off-road running is of course their size, but for people who are looking for a powerful, well put together, well thought out RC truck, which is also portable, I think both of these pretty much tick every box. This brings us on to the number one spot. What could it be? Well, of course it's still the Rlaarlo Omni-Terminator. This thing refuses to give up its number one spot and of course its crown. Not only does the Omni-Terminator look absolutely incredible, especially the carbon version, it has to be the best handling truck on today's top 10 list. Now Rlaarlo say this truck is a mini 1/10 scale. It's not, it's a 1/12 scale truck and they've labelled it as a mini 1/10. But look, that really doesn't matter, and if anything, it kind of makes more sense. And again, going back to what I've already mentioned previously in this video, people are loving the fact that the Omni-Terminator is portable, you can take it anywhere, you're getting really good high performance. It just seems to be one of the best RC cars around. Anyone who hasn't driven an Omni-Terminator yet, you're missing out because they're fantastic trucks, especially when it comes to their handling. Out of all the trucks I've tested in the last couple of years, I'm struggling to find anything that tops the Omni-Terminator. There's two versions of the Omni-Terminator available. There's the metal version and the carbon version. Of course, the metal version isn't as powerful as the carbon version, and it doesn't have all the fancy carbon bits. If you can stretch to the carbon version, that's the one I would recommend because yes, it does have some carbon bits and of course, a slightly more powerful brushless system. Now I've tested both and power wise, they both feel equally as good. I wouldn't have said the metal version feels any less fun than the carbon version. Again, it all comes down to budget, and if you can stretch to the carbon one, that's the one I would say go for. Remember when I said I'm giving you the chance to win a brand new Rlaarlo XTS F10? Well look, I'm also giving you the chance to win a brand new Omni-Terminator, and yes of course it is the carbon version. If you want to win an Omni-Terminator, again all you have to do is head over to Raffle after watching this video, use the same code 5free and you will get 5 free tickets. Both the XTS Rally and the Omni-Terminator are two fantastic cars from the guys at Rlaarlo. They're probably their two most popular as well, which is why I thought it'd be a good idea to give you guys a chance to win them both. So do you agree with my choices today? Do you think the Omni-Terminator deserves the number one spot? Or is there something else out there that you would have put at number one? I always love hearing from you guys, so let me know in the comments section down below. Cheers for watching, see you on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed today's video and you want to see the top 10 that I did from earlier on in the year, click the top video now, or click the bottom video to check out my full length review on the Carbon Omni-Terminator.